Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Virtual Laboratory Project and Community Owners Meeting. This is Greg Stumpf out here in Norman, Oklahoma. I am with the Meteorological Development Lab Decision Support Branch, and I am one of now two Normanites in our branch. We'll be hearing from the other one here a little later in the call. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and hand it off to Steve Smith, who will give some introductory remarks. Steve, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So thanks, Craig. I just want to remind folks in the VLab project owners and community owners that this meeting is for you. We provide it to have you as core stakeholders to benefit from the latest information and guidance that we have about VLab so that you can best apply it to what you're doing in the VLab, whatever that might be, in a project or community or both. So please feel free to ask questions at any time during this, and we don't have to stick to the agenda. If there are certain issues you want to talk about, please feel free to interrupt, and we can take those on. Just to mention as well that we have now a VLab outreach director who we acquired through the NOAA NRAP program. His name is Todd Neeson, and he's been on board for a few weeks now. And so we are looking forward to a number of outreach events coming up in the fall. So you may be seeing more of the VLab sort of out where in your neck of the woods, depending on where that neck of the woods is. But for example, today we had a poster out at the NOAA Modeling Fair in College Park. Coming up in a couple of weeks, the VLab team is going to be out in Norman, Oklahoma at the National Weather Center for a day-long outreach event. We're planning some site visits to National Weather Service forecast offices in the coming year, and we'll be having a webinar for National Weather Service supervisors and managers if you happen to be in the Weather Service. Also, just want to mention you're going to be seeing, we also have a new member of our staff who is Tal Pham, who's working on some of our user interfaces to improve the look and feel, among other things. And today you're going to get a view of some of that great work, and hopefully it's going to make your user experience and those of your community and project members much better, we hope anyway. So we're looking forward to that. And again, hope that you take advantage of this opportunity to ask us questions or just gather the information that we provide. We do record these sessions, so you can take advantage and share this information with your colleagues afterwards by sharing the recording. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Greg.
Thanks, Steve. As you can see from our agenda, we've got a number of demos that we're going to be showing today. As you know, we've migrated the virtual lab collaboration side to the DXP platform in the last few months, so there's a lot of new stuff there. So we'll go ahead and hand it off to Ken Sparrow, who is going to give us an update on what's new in the VLab and start some of these demos. So Ken, you're unmuted, and I'm going to go ahead and change you and make you the panelist.
Okay, great. All right, so welcome. You should be seeing, and I believe you are, what looks like our current landing page. And so I'm just going to jump right into the demos. This is going to highlight some of the areas where we're spending the most energy today, and that is so one of the first item to demonstrate is the landing page, and I wanted to first start with the current landing page, what it looks like, and then if we jump over to, this is our test system, and this is coming soon, so we'll be soliciting feedback in terms of bugs that exist within the page. But so if we come on over here and homepage version 2, you'll see a new landing page. It's a bit more colorful. And so what you'll notice is that what we're trying to do is make the page more dynamic. Let me clear this so it doesn't highlight it. We'll be focusing, this will be changing, hopefully monthly at a minimum, for upcoming events to highlight, for example, like the general modeling fair that's happening today through Wednesday over at NSUP, or actually through tomorrow over at NSUP. And then we're doing some other news, like meeting our new VLab director, highlighting that, trying to make it a bit more colorful, more appealing to the eye. And so if we come back, there also are linkages to other events and news. So that one of the main things is we want to make the VLab landing page more dynamic, and so that it'll be the place where you can get information relative to what we're doing. This is a little blog about some of the outages over the last, it's been about half a week ago, but before that we had some outages as a result of infrastructure issues within IDP, and so that was a blog on that, or a short write-up on that. And then if we go back to that home page, some of the other things I wanted to highlight are, for example, we wanted to kind of give people a sense for the scope and scale of VLab itself. So you can see here, now this is our dev system, so this is actually as of about 3 months ago, because we pulled back production to dev 3 months ago. And you can see here that the communities, we have 478 communities, 586 projects, and there are 3 online users. And again, this is our dev system, so that's why. But it's kind of some fun facts that'll change. It's pulling that dynamically, so as we add more communities and projects throughout the day, and as people log in and log out, these statistics get updated once every 10 minutes. So one of the things that we did want to highlight, because we know that on the current page, people tend to use a My Communities portlet as a means for navigation to get to their communities. What do I mean by that? So, so the My Communities portlet is, here. It will still be found here under Communities, but it no longer will be on the landing page. And the reason for that, and we're going to have a little write-up on how to do this, is that you can go up, and this is the intended way to navigate to the communities, is up here, this Select Community drop-down. And so we've improved upon this. It used to be that it would only show one link for the communities, and but Tao actually made a tweak to, or modified the framework, so now it'll support both, if there are both public pages within the community and private pages, it'll show both, so you can get to either one. So like if I wanted to go to the test tube community, the public pages, I'd click on the first link, I'd click on the second one if it's there. If there's only one set of pages, there's just one link, and you would click on that. One of the really nice things about the Select a Community option is that by default it's showing you the recent communities. So I just before I went online was working within the test tube community so that I can demonstrate some other things. So that's right there. Before that I was on the NWS community. So this very clearly shows you from the most recently accessed in reverse order where you've been and how you can get there. So it's very convenient. If you're like myself and you're a member of tons of communities, then you can go to the My Communities option, and there's a search. And so if I want to go to AVQ or one of the sites, I can do that and search for it and then click on that. On each of these, there's this option here to open up a new tab with that site within it, so you can do that too. So that is the preferred approach for navigating to the communities. If you really like the My Communities option and you want to stick with that, you're welcome to, but it'll require one more click, and that is you'll have to click on Communities and then get to what you're familiar with, the My Communities portlet. So that's one thing I wanted to highlight, and if we go back to it, all right, so other things here, you'll notice that at the bottom we have links. These are what you were used to in terms of the quick links in the middle. We're trying to do this in such a way that you don't have to vertically scroll up and down to get to these commonly accessed things. So that's the point behind all these links down here. And then we've got another round of specific, further updates, or I'm sorry, commonly accessed links as well. So we're trying to make it easy for people to get to what they want within one click. So that is the new landing page. So I don't know if we want to open it up for questions or comments at this point in time.
If you have any questions, you can use the raise my hand feature or type a question in the question box.
Okay, so I'll continue on. If anything comes up at any point later, that's fine. So the second thing I wanted to cover is a personal landing page. It's not as far along as I was hoping. So we're just to mention that we are going to put in place it's called My Dashboard. And so today, if you click like on your username here, it'll pull up on the left-hand side. We'll give it a second. This is Devs. It's a little bit slower. Or a lot slower. Let me go back. See if there's something maybe with that particular page. So if I come into here, so you have My Account, and this is where you get to things like your notifications, stuff like that. We have My Profile, and that's already there today, and that's a public page. So that's if, for example, someone searches for something within the search field and it finds you, and they were to click on you, this would go to your profile page, and this just has some information about you that you fill in by editing it. By editing the profile, you can also add tags, things like that. This isn't new, but just to highlight that this is there today. You can also find people through Find an Expert. We had someone find one of our team members, Jason Burks, because he had put GIS expert, and as a result, Jason ended up helping out this person out in the field to do some work for them in terms of GIS related. So that was a nice thing to know. So that's something that could potentially be leveraged to connect people. So this is your profile page. So it's public facing. What we're looking at doing though is creating a dashboard. So My Dashboard right now isn't defined, but what we're looking to do, and I'll show you, is add portlets on the page that would be specific to you. And so some of the things that we've been working on, we'll go back to the Test 2 community, and actually I want to go to the private version. So within here, I just did a very quick mock-up of one of the portlets that we've just developed, one of our developers developed, that reports issues within Redmine. So now this may not be relevant, it won't be relevant to everyone because not everyone has Redmine projects, that they're members of Redmine projects. But if you were, then this portlet would display, and it would give you the ability within VLCS to be able to see the issues assigned to you, and then also issues reported by yourself. So again, this is hitting our dev instance, but you can see here, that these are issues that I have assigned, and there are a bunch that I've written up, and there are a bunch of them because this goes back quite a long time. So, so that's that. We're also looking at you'd have my communities, so you'd have the list of the communities that you're a member of, and then we're looking to define exactly what else would be useful to people to be on that page. So that's my dashboard, and again, this will be private, so other people won't have access to it. It's like a private page, but private to you. So we're working on that. One thing that's available today, and we've enhanced it, is the subscription manager. And so the subscription manager is found under configuration. This is only accessible to site owners, so the site owners or community owners. And so within here, what this does is within your community, it gives you the ability to see who is subscribed to the different elements within your site or your community, and also to manage those subscriptions. So at the top, so you get to it by going to configuration. If it's not open, open up the product menu by clicking on this little icon here. That opens it up under configuration. You click on subscription manager. And so within here, you'll see that we have different categories along the top, and these will only display if you have this type of data. And so we have forum categories, wiki nodes, so if you're using wikis, people can subscribe to those. Blogs, people can subscribe to the blogs. Individual wiki pages, so people can subscribe to a page as opposed to the entire wiki. Wiki node is the entire wiki. And then web content folders, so it's possible to actually subscribe to a web content folder so you get update notifications when things are added to it, and then also document library folders. So, these are the different types of assets within a community that can be subscribed to. And so what this then does is it allows you to come in here, and first off, you may want to see, we provide the ability to see that if people are subscribed to all forums within a community, and you can do that within the forums portlet at the top. People can subscribe, and if they have done so, you would see the list here. So within this test sheet community, myself, John Chattel, and the test VLab user have subscribed. Now, if I wanted to change that, I would click on this ... and click on Manage Subscriptions. If I wanted to do it for just a particular category, forum category, and remember, let me just show you. So if we go to Content, Forums, okay, what do I mean by category? These are the categories listed here. So it may be that within your community you have multiple categories so that individuals can subscribe to the different ones, and you may even have specific email accounts for each. That then allows people to send an email to that email address and have it be posted to the right forum. So that's what's meant by the categories within a forum. So if we go back to the subscription manager, okay, and if we look at that again, and we look at like the DSB branch forum category, I can come into here, view it in a pop-up window, and then the thing that's most likely going to be done is manage subscriptions. So again, as a site or community administrator or owner, you have the ability to do this within your community. And so within here, you can see the way what's presented here are all of the community members, okay, as well as it's possible in the case of public communities, public community pages, that someone that isn't a member of your community is subscribed, so they would show up here too. So it's basically a union of the community members as well as any outside subscribers. So you can see from here that I am the only one that am currently subscribed, so you can just do this quick link to unsubscribe. You can also go in and do a multiple select and subscribe people that way. So if I want to subscribe these three, I can subscribe the selected users, and that would be fine. So you can now see that three are subscribed. So if I were to go then back, they would be the ones that would show up as being subscribed to that forum thread. So it's pretty straightforward, hopefully intuitive. One other thing that can be done is that you can subscribe all members of your community. So I can click on this, and that will subscribe everyone that's a member of your community. You can also unsubscribe all subscribers. So that would unsubscribe everyone from those. So, and then we gave the ability because, like I mentioned, in the case of public pages, if you've got a forum on a public page, you may want to subscribe someone outside your community. We did not want community owners to be able to subscribe all 20,000 entries from LDAP that are within VLCS, but we wanted to give the ability to selectively go through. So you can actually come in here, click on search all users. This takes a little bit more time because it's loading up the 20,000 users. And then you can go through there and search for individual users to subscribe them. So like I said, this takes a little time because it's having to load 20,000 users, but that's not something that typically would be done. So I can then come in here and say, search for myself. And so there are a couple of test users associated with my account or with my name, but you can see here that, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and unsubscribe this particular user. So that's kind of a review of the subscription manager, how it works. And like I said, you do have the ability. I was focused on the forums. The functionality is the same. In this case, within each of those top level categories. So let me see if I need to be patient. Okay. So, so you can see here again. Let me go back. All right, so the same thing applies to these other areas. So if you've got a wiki page, you can go in and see. It's a quick way of knowing when, who's subscribed to different things within your community. Are there any questions on that? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move forward, and I'll go back to navigation, and we'll go to the community. And I'm going to show you one other thing that you can do as a community owner, and that is to get the message out. So what do I mean by that? I went to the public page. Let's go to the private page. And so once I do that, we'll go in and go to the announcements. So I've, within one of my pages in this test community, I added the announcements portlet to the page. And again, as a site admin, you'll be able to go in and use this portlet. So I'm a test user here. And so within this, so what I'm doing is I became a test user where I'm a site owner and not a portal-wide administrator. So I want to make sure and demonstrate that. So if you have a message that you want to get out to all your users within your community, you can go in here and use the announcements portlet to do so. The distribution scope would be the community. These both are showing up because this user, test user, is an admin in both these communities. But in our case, we just want to send it out to the test2 community, and then we can add an entry, and it allows you to then go in and provide a title, a URL if you want, and then you type your content using the WYSIWYG editor. Here, it'll allow you to set a display date, and you can also have an expiration date, so it stops displaying at a particular time. You would then save it, and then that would be sent out to all the users within your community. When you do that, I showed you earlier the notifications. So there's the notifications list here. If I show you over here, oops, sorry, not help. Let me go back. And you can see here 359 in the test system. I don't deal with this very often, but you can then, you would get the notification through here, and if it's configured by the users, they would get an email notification as well. So, so you would see things up in here. So that's a very quick summary of how you would send an announcement out to your community. And I guess, are there any questions on that?
If you have a question, go ahead and use the raise my hand. Okay. Thanks.
All right, very good.
We're going to go ahead and switch over to Tao, and she's going to talk about the new Redmine theme. So I'll go ahead and make her the presenter. Yeah. Tao, you are now unmuted.
Hi everybody, this is Tao, and I work on the Redmine theme and basically just make it more cheerful. So I think it would be nice to see the other one that we have, which is VLab. So I take the existing Redmine theme and basically just give a little bit of color touch to it, and some of the things that just a simple changes so that it would make it easy for people to work on it. And one of the changes is one of the changes that I do is first it's just basically it's adding, like just make the search bar to be more functional. So it's now you can be able to using the enter key on it, so it will just give you into a search, and it will just give you to the search with the search term in it. It's like that. Also, I have done some work to make the projects page to be displayed a bit better. So instead of like scrolling a lot, that you are now be able to see them better with the hierarchical structure. Also, that I also like, so you can do, let me see how to get this. So you can, if you want to read more on some of this description, you can do read more with expand out, like those. The other one would be the ability to, on the other interface, you have the sidebar on the right, and now it's on the left. And you can toggle them to, so if you want to get more real estate on the content, and especially if you want more real estate on like the issue where it's a lot of info, like a big table, that would help you to get more space. On this one, you can also, I know like a lot of people just go and get to the project by the jump to project side But on this one, you can also be able to search, and that would help you to easy instead of like I know a lot of people before of just using a browser search and go and find a term and it's go there, but now you can have that. It's clear will basically just give back to the original view, and you can view my project only. Since I don't have many projects, I only see one. And a lot of changes have can go through. If I was to go to a project, let me see. For a web development, you will see that the issue has there's some color to the issue, which is like you get the one with the high priority get highlighted. Then again, this you can toggle and you can see it more detail. So you know, I think that some of the changes are quite simple, but it will make it easy people to navigate. Another one was we adding so that it look uniform across all the VLab services, and that is you can go back and forth between Redmine and the library side, and you know, like, and the other one, and it's added over here. So I think that's pretty much it. Do you have anybody have any question or comment?
We do have a question. The quick question: when is this going to be available to the users?
Ken, it has to be Ken. I think that's going to be a Ken question. So could you unmute him?
Yeah, sure. So so we're working on getting this out quickly. We wanted to give an opportunity to you all to provide comments, and then we wanted to give a short period of time, like a week, where we would put an announcement on the front page of VLCS and the VLDS Redmine, where people can get to the development instance to take a look. We've done thorough testing in-house already, but we just want to make sure, especially in this case, since it's going to impact functionality. Functionally, it should be the same, but we just want to make sure we haven't had any oversight. So, so we're looking at getting this out very quickly, as soon as potentially next week. But that's our plan there. Todd Neeson, the outreach director, he'll be helping to get the word out on this.
Okay, and I think, Steve, do you have a question?
Yeah, more of a comment, just to emphasize that this kind of work is in line with our sort of strategic objective of making the VLab services more integrated and less software specific. So look and feel is part of it. Also under the hood things are part of it. We recognize that we provide a whole set of tools that can be applied to a variety of things, and each user have different needs, etc. But we want to try to get more towards the functionality as the highlight for what people are using, whatever their needs are, and less towards, well, there's these things are in these things are in LifeRay, and then these tools are in Redmine, and try to have a more holistic approach. So you'll be seeing more and more of this as time goes on, I think, and it should provide a more useful user experience as we get better at this. And so we really welcome your feedback on these sorts of things. We recognize that people get comfortable with certain looks and feel, and and it can be a bit upsetting to have even small changes to what you're used to, but we believe that these types of things will overall provide a better experience in the long run. Thanks, Greg.
Okay. Aside from when this is going to go live, any other questions from anybody else before we move along? Use the raise your hand feature. I can unmute you. Okay, looks like we're good. So we're going to be moving right along. Let me go ahead and make me the presenter again so we can take a quick look at the remainder of the agenda is our spotlight. And this time, again, going for the hat trick, we've got Bill Rash. He's from the Davis, California office. He's going to be talking about how he has used the VLab for the heat risk community. So go ahead and unmute you now, Bill. You're ready to go.
Thanks, Greg. So I got to get a wave plug in here to start things off. Thought it was fun to look at the hurricane coming in. FE3 is on the left and the GFS is on the right. So check out wave if you want to see the difference in the models. So that being said, I had to get my plug in there. This isn't really, I don't have a whole lot to say, but maybe that will mean something. But VLab has been, it's been really nice for hosting our heat risk project. And the way it's been nice for us is that it's, we're able to host kind of SUI type things from the science and explaining about the heat risk project itself. But also we've been able to, use it as a portal to host stuff that the WCMs need and the forecasters need for things like outreach and social media templates and things like that. So it's a pretty simple VLab community, especially compared to some of the other ones I've done, but it works great for that. And I mean, hopefully you can see my screen, but here it is. We just have try to keep a nice clean look to it. We have an overview, informational type on the front page. And then across the top here, we have a training tab, which this is kind of the Sioux part of it. All the Western region Sioux probably have gotten on here at least at some point. You can click on that image there and view a YouTube video that Mike Stoudemire and Paul Inigeth made about heat risk. So we have, we have a lot of information hosted on this site. If you go to the outreach tab, this is where you can click on this information and then download information. So this is where with VLab we uploaded documents into VLab, or in some cases we actually put links to Google documents. So it would be a little bit more dynamic, I guess, if the documents changed and so forth. And then the other places across the top here, I won't click on them, but these are just, I'll go ahead and click on it. It's just an external link. So it goes to another site basically. So we're using VLab, in this case as truly as a web page portal type thing. So with that being said, I can go over the details of it, but I kind of wanted to give a kind of a summary of my thoughts on this. In this case, the VLab community worked really well for this heat risk project. I don't know how many hits it gets, but I think a lot of people have gone to it and utilized the fact that we can put all this information in one place. But in my opinion, it's, it's a low-level use, and you guys know this, of what VLab has to offer. We're just treating this as like a website and a portal, hosting training information, social media content, scientific information, and external links. So I always like to refer to VLab as a Tesla, but sometimes you only need a Pinto, and that's all we needed for this heat risk page. Was we just needed some place to organize our information and our links all in one place, and it satisfied our need for that. It certainly doesn't go to the level of what VLab does have to offer, but it's worked well for us. I'll pull it back up here, and I'm hoping that wasn't too short, Greg, but that's really all I have.
Well, that's okay. I can say this much about Bill, is he's made some very effective use of the VLab. He's a site owner of several different communities on there, so that's why we've had him on here several number of times. Any questions for Bill? Raise your hand or use the question feature.
And if I could just steal this opportunity to tell Ken that option to email all the users, that announcement portal, that's a really nice thing. That's going to be huge for me personally. So thanks for adding that.
We have one question in the question pane. Was there any sort of training that you used to help put this all together?
You guys. That's whenever anybody asks me about VLab, the first thing I say is how amazing the VLab support is, and that's no joke. I am just amazed at how quickly you guys help me, and when I have any trouble, I instantaneously get help. So I'm kind of a hands-on type of guy. I mess around with things, and I use you guys' help links on VLab itself. If I get stuck, I probably go too quickly to get support from the VLab folks, but you guys' support is it's through the roof, like Apple type support. It's amazing, and so when I get stuck, that's what I do, and I really appreciate that.
So
I hope that answers the question.
Steve Smith, you have a question? You should be unmuted.
Thanks, Bill. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, so a couple follow-up questions. One is more of a comment, I guess. So you described this usage as kind of lower level compared to other things, but and using as a portal, a website, whatever you want. But the thing is, to anyone, is that it's a website that you have complete control over, right? And you can update it. There's no, which is not always the case. So even if it's a sort of low level type of application, the fact that you control it, you can update it, you can do whatever you want. That's, I think, part of what we're trying to inform the various VLab users and encourage, is that, hey, you can, nobody's telling you don't do this or don't do that, and you can sort of work at 3 o'clock in the morning and that sort of thing. So am I on target with that comment?
Definitely. And I hope I didn't give the wrong impression. I was trying to say that as a positive. Yes, it's great. Absolutely. I'm just trying to demonstrate that you can use it to this quote unquote simple level that I'm using it here. And I honestly think I don't know how most people use VLab, but I would think a lot of people would want to use it in this way. And if they did, it does a fantastic job. Absolutely.
Great. Yeah. So that's, I guess what I'm trying to say was that not every use case we have needs to be, fireworks and that kind of thing. It just, we're looking for the right tool for the job, and it doesn't have to be sexy, but if it works and it gets what you need done, then hey, that's great for us.
Exactly.
Yeah. The other question I had was, is there any public side to this, or is it all internal? In other words, or is the heat risk conveyed through, the normal weather.gov venue to the public?
Yeah, here's the external link. I don't know if you can still see my screen, but yeah, this is linked from all the Western region pages, and it says experimental. But it doesn't get into the VLab at all. It's just, we just have a National Weather Service heat risk page where the information is hosted.
Right. Well, that's fine. That's great. I just wanting to use the opportunity to remind people that one can develop using the same, LifeRay framework. One can develop internal and external web content sort of at the same time. And one of our sort of pilot, I would say, poster children, if you will, for that is the SV3 GFS modeling community. That was developed from the ground up by Kate Friedman, who's on the call, or is on this meeting, and it has basically both sides. So there's a public-facing FE3 GFS as well as an internal one, and so that's a really interesting and efficient use case for users who may have a need for public outreach or public-facing web content as well as an internal, so you don't have to sort of do them separately on different platforms. You can do them both if the need fits it within the VLab and using the LifeRay.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't know that. That's really good to know.
Why don't maybe Ken? Why don't you just quickly show that for after this session? There may be other questions for Bill, but before
Sure.
we wrap up, why don't you demo that so that other users could see what we're talking about?
Yeah, I can actually walk Bill through since he's sharing his screen still. So if you expand the product menu using that icon in the upper left-hand corner in the black bar,
That one?
and yep. And then you see there that right now it says private pages. Yeah. So you can also create public pages.
Okay.
And so I think to the right, ... So add public page.
Oh, okay.
And so then you would give it you don't need to do this, but you would just give it a name. You'd specify the layout just as if you were creating a private page. And then you basically at that point, you then can use the plus arrow on the upper right-hand side to put your portlets and things on it. The nice thing is that the real big advantage here is that if you have content that the audience may be internal as well as external, you only have to develop it once, and then you can point your public page, using the asset publisher portlet or the wiki or the forums within there, and then permission is controlled at the page level, the portlet level, and the content level as well. So there's that's a Tesla portion of this, that you can really do what you need to restrict access or not even present things that you don't want to the public as a whole. You can also make the page open to anyone that is logged into VLab, but not necessarily anonymous users too. That's another option. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and that's it's. If you're familiar with creating pages, for a private community, it's as easy as this to create the public pages. So
we have another question.
Thank you. You got my head spinning already. I got some ideas. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
We have another question from our audience. Is there an easy process for moving private content to public content?
Yeah, that's a good question. Typically, remember what we're doing here is you're really not moving the content. You're moving portlets, and then the portlets display content. So what do I mean by that? Within the product menu on the left, there's a content section, and that's where like the web content is that you've established, your wiki content, your forums, everything like that. So the portlets that you place on the page really are like a container that then view that content, and you can select which content you want to display within it. So if we're talking about copying the layout with the portlets on it from a private to a public, that's not super easy. You can do an export of it, and depending upon how it's been set up, that sometimes, or an option. But what we've found is that it's typically just as easy to go in and recreate the pages. And if you ever need help with that, the VLab support team is more than welcome to help, because we do this so frequently, we can go in and do it really quickly. If it's a really complex page and you've done a lot of configuration of the portlets and things like that, then it may warrant doing a page export, and we can walk you through how to do that too. So.
Okay, thank you. So I want to thank Bill again for his presentation of the heat risk community. We're now at the point in the call where we have a roundtable discussion. So any questions about VLab that you're interested, just go ahead and use the raise your hand feature or the question feature. I'll be watching here over the next few moments to see if there's any questions. Okay. We have one question. So Matthew Austin, you're unmuted. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi. I was curious if VLab had any sort of voting process that would be baked in, like for, like say an employee wants to submit an idea, and then you want people to potentially like that idea. I've been working with ServiceNow and with Google Forms, but I was just curious if, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Is there basically, a process? I mean, it would basically be just a form where someone would submit an idea, but then other people could view those ideas and they could like them.
This is Ken. You guys can hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So there is, we've actually spent a fair amount of energy developing a custom portlet. It was the idea of Eastern Region within the National Weather Service for the ideas marketplace. And so let me, Greg, if you could point to my screen, that'd be great.
There you go.
Thank you. Let me share this. And I will do a quick demo of this. And it's something that we can actually make available to you within your community if you wanted to do it. I use this portlet as well. So let me switch over to production side. And so, so that's, give me 1 second. Oh, that's not good. I'll have to investigate that, but let me go to VLab Dev. Okay, and if we go to the private page, this is just a copy of production, and so within the NWS tab, there's this, we have Ideas Marketplace, and I want to make sure that I go to, here we go. Our links in our development site point to the production side, so that's why I didn't go back. Let me go back. And I know that there's an issue at the moment, so let me come over here. Ideas Marketplace. Okay. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. And so what this allows people to do is go in and create ideas, and then they can give, they can rate those, and then it'll do a cumulative score based upon that. You can subscribe to the ideas, and then as people go in and update it, you can create links associated with the ideas. And you can subscribe to the portlet itself, and then you'll get an email notification for all the ideas. And then, like, if we were to go into, no, I need to update. These are all links to the production side. So anyway, this portlet, I think this is like the supercharge. Yeah, I think it would work quite well for you. The other thing that's built into VLab is that when documents are uploaded, web content can be uploaded. You can add so if I come over and I go back to that test community, I'll go ahead and drop an asset publisher on a page, and you can have it dynamically display content as it's being added. So you could basically use that as a way for people to add just web content, ideas that way. Wouldn't be quite as elegant as the Ideas Marketplace, but built into the framework, there are ratings and comments. And so if you turn that feature on, you'll quickly see the cumulative score for things, and you also get comments. So if someone uploads an idea, and you can, there are other things. There's a lot that we can do. So I don't know who asked that question, but if you want to follow up with us, the VLab support team, we can do a consultation and kind of walk you through it.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is Matt Austin. I asked the question. Kelly Whitaker from the Rapid City WFO, actually, I was working with her, and she said, well, I think Weather Service has actually done it. And yeah, I mean, that sounds like that's absolutely perfect. This is actually for the NOAA CFO.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'd love to follow up because it's a heck of a lot easier to reuse that rather than, building all the code.
There was quite a bit of effort went into creating that custom portlet, and it would be great for other communities to use it. So,
sure, yeah, I mean,
organizations.
I'm still kind of like a newbie to VLab, but I pretty much have like a front-end wireframe, and it looks like the functionality fits very well. So,
okay, that'd be great.
Let me know who should I contact you directly, Ken, or?
You can do that, and then just CC vlab.admin@noaa.gov so that it goes to the whole group. So.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
All right, you're welcome.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Ken. Steve, did you want to interject with your question? Steve. Are you there, Steve?
Oh, no, it's okay, Greg. I'll pass.
Okay. One other question from the audience. Are there any online training demos or anything like that available for creating our community pages?
That's a good question, and that's something that we're looking at creating. We haven't done it yet, but we're intending on creating like short 30-second, like 1.5 minute videos that we would host within the VLab YouTube channel, and then make available through the VLab to do exactly things like that. So just getting started, here's how to create a page, here's how to add supportlets to the page, so that people could go in, replay those, and so that is definitely something that we plan to do. And if you have specific ideas on things that you think would be most beneficial, please let us know, and we'll make sure to escalate the priority on those. So we've already bought some. It was inexpensive, but bought some software that would help facilitate this, and we just need to do it now.
And
so.
Steve wanted to remind that we have some of the training developed by Steve Corfiti.
Oh, that's right, through the Warning Decision Training Division. So that's through the Commerce Learning Center. They're one module that's been developed, and then they're developing the second one. So that should be helpful as well, and they do a great job. So.
Great. Oh, Steve, you got your hand up again. Go ahead, Steve Smith.
Yeah, that was just my point. That if you go to the CLC, there is that module in there. You can take that course, and that's definitely a good intro to using the various VLab capabilities.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the audience? We are at the top of the hour, so I think this would be a good time to go ahead and call it a meeting. So I want to thank all our presenters today, the various demos and the spotlight, and we're planning to meet again November 14th, the same time as usual, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much.